Organizations invest millions modernizing their SAP warehouse operations, yet many still struggle with inventory accuracy, worker adoption, and operational performance. And that's the thing. This is Neptune Talks, where we share short insights on SAP execution and innovation. Today, we're talking about a critical, often invisible problem that undermines these investments: the inventory execution gap. It's this disconnect between what your SAP system believes is happening with your inventory and the physical reality on the warehouse floor.
Right, the execution gap. It sounds simple, but I think it runs deeper than most people realize. It's not just about a number being off here or there.
Exactly. At its core, it means you have two operating systems running in a single warehouse. On one hand, you have SAP, your official system of record. It's highly structured and designed around standard business processes.
The as designed process.
Precisely. Then, on the other hand, you have the warehouse execution layer. This is the reality. It's how your people, your most valuable asset, actually get the job done. They create workarounds to deal with damaged goods, shortages, exceptions, or simply to keep work moving.
The as is process. And these workarounds, even when they're well intentioned, they don't always make it back into SAP in real time or ever.
That's the gap right there. For example, a picker finds a damaged pallet. The official SAP process might be complex, so to save time, they just set it aside and grab the next one. SAP still thinks that pallet is in a pickable location, pristine.
And that one small discrepancy then creates a ripple effect. The next picker is sent to that same location for that same pallet, wasting time. Inventory counts are off. Planners are making decisions based on faulty data.
It compounds. You get stockouts on items SAP believes are available and excess inventory on others. It erodes trust in the system, which just encourages more workarounds. It's a vicious cycle. And it's not just about wasted time. Think about the financial implications. You might end up ordering new stock for something you already have but can't find. That's a direct hit to your working capital. Or even worse, you can't fulfill a customer order on time, which damages your reputation.
And I imagine it must be incredibly frustrating for the warehouse staff. They are caught between a system that doesn't reflect reality and the pressure to meet performance targets. They're essentially forced to create these workarounds to do their jobs. And isn't that exactly what all this investment in digitization, mobile scanners, new warehouse management apps, is supposed to solve? To make the floor's reality instantly update in SAP.
You would think so. And that's often where organizations are disappointed. The challenge isn't digitization itself, it's where the execution layer sits. Many external execution tools only see SAP's standard data model. They interact well with standard SAP objects, but they can't always access the customer-specific business logic that many warehouses rely on every day.
What do you mean by full data model?
Think about how most SAP customers operate. Their systems have evolved over years, sometimes decades, with custom tables, custom business logic, and what SAP calls Z objects. That's often where the processes that make their warehouse unique actually live.
Right, the custom code that makes SAP work for their specific business.
Exactly. A generic third-party app or a bolt-on solution often can't see or interact with these Z objects. So the app on the scanner might capture the standard data, but it misses all the critical customized business context that lives in those Z objects, the very data that differentiates your process.
So you're digitizing, but you're only digitizing a fraction of the actual process. You're not closing the gap, you're just paving over it with a slick user interface. The disconnect between the two operating systems remains. So the application understands the standard SAP model, but not necessarily the customer-specific context that actually governs how the warehouse operates.
Exactly. The result is that recommendations are based on a simplified version of the warehouse rather than the one the organization actually runs.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
Of course, if your AI model is trying to optimize picking routes or predict demand based on the data in SAP, but that data doesn't reflect the on-the-ground reality because of the execution gap, what happens?
Garbage in, garbage out. Your fancy new AI is making brilliant calculations based on flawed information. It's optimizing a process that doesn't actually exist.
Which also explains why organizations often lose trust in new digital tools. If the application doesn't reflect how the warehouse actually operates, people naturally fall back to workarounds. And that's why these AI initiatives can stall or fail to deliver results. Businesses try to run before they can walk. They're building sophisticated AI capabilities on a foundation that's riddled with gaps between data and reality.
So it all comes back to closing that fundamental inventory execution gap. It's not just an operational issue, it's a data integrity issue that blocks future innovation.
It really is the foundational issue. You need tooling that not only provides a modern interface for workers, but also deeply integrates with your entire SAP system, including all those custom Z objects to ensure that what happens on the floor is what gets reflected in the system of record, instantly and accurately.
Unifying those two operating systems, the as designed and the as is, into a single, truthful source.
That's the goal. When you do that, the data becomes reliable, planners make better decisions, trust is restored, and suddenly advanced technologies like AI actually have a solid foundation to deliver on their promise. The important point is that organizations don't need to replace SAP to do this. SAP already contains the inventory positions, movement history, batch rules, and business logic. The challenge is making that information available to workers in the right form at the moment the work happens.
The key takeaway is this: SAP already has the data. Real warehouse transformation starts by closing the execution gap between the system and the people doing the work. Without that, you're simply digitizing a broken process.
If you want more short insights like this on SAP, follow Neptune Talks. And if you want to explore more, you can visit neptune-software.com.